The journey home seemed to take forever. I'd left the office early for a change, determined to get ahead of the evening rush, but still the traffic snarled to a halt within minutes. That's not uncommon on a Friday evening, but it was usually a relief. This was the first time in years that I was impatient to be home. It was a hot and humid summer afternoon in late June. The sky was overcast and showers threatened. The car's aircon was on full blast, but my skin still prickled with sweat. The radio was on, and I flicked from news channel to music as I waited for the cars ahead to move. I couldn't find anything to focus on. My phone beeped, and I glanced at the screen. It was a text from my husband, Tom. Just left London. Back at 7. X. I read it and replied, okay, then added, X. I muted my phone and slid it into my handbag. I didn't want to be disturbed. I needed to think. Eventually the traffic started up again, with no indication of what had happened. There was no broken-down vehicle, no police cars or ambulance. Nothing but stationary traffic, then a sudden release. I put my foot down on the accelerator, glad to be moving, to be on my way. The railway station is a couple of miles from our house, and on impulse, I turned into its car park instead of carrying straight on home. I needed to check. I had to be certain. As I drove in, I gave each car I passed a furtive glance. There was just the smallest chance I'd meet him on his way out. I wouldn't have put it past him to have said he was on the train when he was actually in his car coming home from the station. I had no reason to be there, and if he saw me, he'd assume I was going somewhere or returning. The suspicion would always be there, no matter what I said. But maybe that didn't matter now. The die was almost cast. Still, when I finally saw his car, I breathed a huge sigh of relief. He'd parked quite away from the station entrance, and I remembered that morning when he'd left the house at 6 for the early train. He'd been annoyed as he couldn't find his wallet and would have to hurry. I was in bed, feigning sleep, my ears straining to hear what he was doing. Now I could see he hadn't straightened the wheels before getting out of the car, and pictured him braking sharply, reaching for his briefcase on the back seat, and then jumping out and slamming the door after him. I could see his expression, knew his face would be grim, his mouth narrow. My stomach tightened at the thought, and I quickly left the car park. I needed to get home. Our house looked dim and unwelcoming under the cloudy sky. Automatically, I parked in my regular spot on the road outside the house and quickly looked around. There was no sign of anyone. I'd made sure I was home before my neighbour Oliver arrived. Usually he and I got back from work just after 6, and we'd have a chat there on the path between our houses before Tom came home. I was glad he wasn't there that afternoon, but worried he might turn up at any time. I didn't want anyone to witness this. I reversed my car up the driveway to the garage, then went through the garden gate at the back of the house. I opened the kitchen door and listened, but the air was still and all was quiet. I took the key to the shed from its hook and went back outside. For just a second, when I was unlocking the shed, I held my breath, my stomach tilting at the thought of what I was about to do. 2 large suitcases stood there, just where I'd put them at 8 o'clock that morning. Quickly I moved them into the trunk of my car, checking the driveway each time in case I was disturbed. Another bag followed, my cabin bag that I'd bought for my last trip abroad. I hadn't thought then that I'd use it for this journey too. Then there were other bags that I put in the shed that morning, containing towels, bed linen, my hairdryer and toiletries. My laptop. None of my books were there. I didn't have room in my car to take them. I'd pick them up another day. Last to go into the trunk was a box file with all my documents. My birth certificate, our marriage certificate, deeds to the house, insurance, bank statements, my passport. It had surprised me how much I'd had to take, and how much I'd been able to leave. Each time I put a bag into the trunk, I closed it afterward, just in case. I was being paranoid, I knew. Tom wouldn't be here just yet. I had more than an hour to go.